Hi there, Gary. This is a response to your, I guess it's a response to some of the stuff I was talking about in one of my Life Is videos, which is a bit of a joke, really. I'm sure it's really obvious. I don't really think you can explain the universe in 5 words, but yeah, let me just see if I can. I made a couple of notes here. Let me just see if I can respond to it. I also wanted to just pick up on something you said on one of your other ones. I think it was on the one that was mainly a response to Professor Anton's, but he mentioned something about me at the end of that one as well, so I want to just pick up on that as well. But this other one first. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're attributing me with an optimism I'm not sure if I've got really, or a lack of misanthropy I'm not sure if I'll be willing to own up to. Like you seem to think that I'm trying to demonstrate what you call brilliance in the universe, which is this idea that yes, we might have. Actually, I think it's a different video than what I'm thinking of. Anyway, that although we might have started off with like really base motivations for doing things, like the desire to reproduce, or the desire to kill something. That we might have started off that way, but somehow by some accumulative process, we've become these rational beings, and are therefore, on this kind of upward trajectory towards brilliance, what you call brilliance in the universe. And you think that because of that, it's kind of being what you call phantasmagorical, which is a fantastic word. But yeah, maybe I'm coming off that way. It doesn't really reflect my the way I feel about it. Really, I don't feel pessimistic either, but I certainly don't have that one. Yeah, it's just not what I'm aiming for. So I'm not expressing myself properly if that's how it's coming across. I certainly don't feel as if we're on this kind of upward trajectory towards the omega point, and we're all going to kind of come together in some great singularity at the end of time. That's not my vision at all. I would settle for a universe which wasn't crap. That would be nice. And I do think that that there's certainly a lot of ways of looking at the history of the human race, the history of the animal kingdom, the evolutionary history of the animal kingdom, and just the development of sentience, the kind of things that sentience had to go through to get to the stage we are now, which a lot of it has been pretty crap. So I would settle for just not being crap anymore. That would do me. I'm not that bothered about brilliance really. Okay, but so having said that, and here, I don't know, you do this thing halfway through the video, Gary, where to me it sounds like you're changing your mind, or you're singing a completely different song, but you talk about a frog in a pond is a universe of substance. I've got to say, putting that line in the same video where you'd call me phantasmagorical, I don't know about that. I mean, it's very hubristic, that bit, Gary. You seem to be saying that life itself, without any evidence to support the fact, is meaning enough, really. Even the life of this frog in the universe, presumably the life of the fly that the frog is about to eat, is I don't know. What's the meaning of that fly? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. I mean, of course, I'm a living thing, and I'm as chauvinistic and as bigoted and as biased about the value of living things as every other living thing. So yeah, I agree with you. I think frogs in ponds are fantastic, but I think I would probably not agree with you that they are a universe of substance. I'll tell you what I did like though. I did like this image. It's a metaphorical image, but this is the kind of image that really floats my boat. Which this idea that something like a frog in a pond, or a kind of moment of sentience, you call it a heavy object in the meaning dimension, as if the universe is just all stuff, but occasionally you get these little clumps of meaningfulness, or not even meaningfulness, but clumps of stuff which are capable of giving meaning to things. Because everything's meaningless until something gives meaning to it. That's kind of the idea I think you want about there. But this clump of meaningfulness, which could be frog-shaped or could be human-shaped or whatever, just kind of sits there and distorts the fabric of the otherwise value-free, flat, just plane of the universe, and becomes this kind of little gravity well that values can circulate around and become part of. I quite like that. If I'm misinterpreting what you're on about, I'm really tired actually. Mondays are always really tiring because I work here, 250 mile drive from where I live to get to work here at 9 o'clock. So I always set up at 4:30, and now here it is at 7:30 at night. I'm just knackered. Anyway, what was I talking about now? Anyway, yeah. So this heavy object in this kind of meaningful dimension, I quite like that. I'm not really sure what it means, but I like it. And just the last thing on there is you kind of return to this thing about brilliance in the universe, and this what you attribute to a kind of claim that you think I'm making, that we're heading in some kind of direction, presumably, like I said, some kind of omega point, or in the direction of increasing value or increasing complexity. Actually, I think we probably are moving towards more complexity. Again, that doesn't really reflect my opinion. I don't think we are heading somewhere, or certainly there's no light at the end of some tunnel up ahead that we're kind of magically evolving towards. If we have a direction, it's a direction of our own making, is what I would say. And being a grown-up in the universe, I would say, is about recognising that and trying to get hold of the bloody controls, really. So that's all on that one. I can't find a bit of paper where I wrote what you said in the other video. Oh, I remember. It was, you weren't really talking about anything I'd said. You were talking about Professor Anton. But at the end of it, you said that, and you called me, I think quite correctly, on this this line where I said that that we have this desire to project our DNA into the future. And I was talking about children and sex and morality, and I said we have this desire to project our DNA, ourselves, into the future. And I thought I was being poetic, but clearly I was just being misleading. What you said is, no, that's not a desire we have. We just have a desire for sex, really. And I think that's right. Of course, I mean, what we experience is desire and lust and the passions of the flesh. But the point I was really trying to make is that the meaning of those desires, a meaning that's been coded into us by genetics and by evolutionary history and by natural selection, the meaning of those desires is to carry out that function, to project ourselves or our DNA, our genome, into the next generation. And that's what the desire is there for. It's not. We don't desire things because it's fun. We desire things, and it's fun because it serves a function in terms of the continuation of the genome. And I'm sure that you know that, but that's what I was trying to say. But I just compressed the middle bit for poetic effect. Yeah. I mean, there was something else I was going to talk about, which was just to do with, I guess it kind of relates to what we're talking about. It relates more to what Professor Anton was talking about hardship, and what you were kind of getting at with this video, with another video of yours, which is, well, it reminded me, and this is not a great reference, but it reminded me of that Rick Warren book, The Purpose-Driven Life, which, if you don't know it, I'm sure you do, but if you don't know it, it's a book by a pastor, a Saddleback Church pastor, Rick Warren, bestseller, sold bloody millions of these things, about how to find purpose in your life and give your life direction and meaning. And in that book, it's by reading the Bible and picking up on certain kind of ethical precepts that it sets up. And whilst I wouldn't have any particular truck with that idea of the biblical source of that, or the Christian or religious source of that, there does seem to be a lot of evidence for purpose, of having something to do, of attaching yourself to a big idea, of becoming part of a political movement, or becoming part of some great charitable altruistic organisation, or becoming very patriotic, and basically attaching yourself to some great big purpose, great big ambition. There does seem to be a lot of evidence that suggests that people who do that feel very fulfilled. They don't necessarily feel happy. They might have a lot of hardship, but they feel very fulfilled, or they feel more than they were when it was just them. I mean, it's that kind of a sensation. Now, again, I'm not attributing any objective status to that feeling, it's just a feeling as far as I'm concerned. But the idea of attaching yourself to moral purpose, or attaching yourself to ethical or political or some kind of activist purpose, does at least kind of provide an alternative to the kind of ledger book of pain and pleasure that we tend to measure our morality in. You know, it's not that kind of utilitarian balancing of pleasures and pains. It's something else, and you know, and for most people, I think, the value of their own life as they experience it, not any kind of objective value, but the value of their own life as they experience it, isn't to do with whether it's got a lot of pain in it or pleasure in it, but as to whether it kind of has purpose, or whether it makes sense, or whether it has meaning for them. Purely subjective, but I think that seems to be what other people get off on, and what seems to motivate a lot of the human condition.